Alright, today we are going to be prepping an evaporator coil for replacement for a, this is a tiny little guy. So we're going to be putting in a TXV solenoid valve. I am taking out the Schrader out of this process stub right here. So that way I can relieve the pressure from the coil. My Schrader core removal tool won't get in there. Got a better option over here. Always save these little tools right here that come with your access valves. There we go. So this is that little tool. It comes with the little access fittings that you get. I always save a bunch of them. So we're just going to relieve the pressure from here. Up here on the side of this coil is a nozzle. Got to make sure you get the right nozzle for the right refrigerant. That way the coil feeds properly. Okay. We'll have to read the instructions on which one to use. Located inside end panel. So it tells you right here what refrigerant to use for what nozzle. So we're dealing with R404A. Our unit model is LS065. It's a tiny little coil. So an LS065 404A, it says to use the L 3/4 nozzle. Okay, what we've got to do is pull this stuff out. I'm going to cut the end off of this distributor. If I can, I'm going to break this off. There we go. To reduce the amount of pressing down in there. Going to go ahead and remove the burrs. Okay. Nozzle pushed in there. Get your little hanger pushed in there. This is the tricky part, is getting the hanger in. Once you get that pushed in, you can take whatever you're going to use. I'm using a drill bit. Sometimes you can use a 1/4-inch bit and just push it up. Okay, pushed right up in. I'm not gonna be able to see inside there, but it's pressed all the way down. So now we can move things around and get this guy put in the position we want it to be in. Pull the caps out of the TXV or the TEV. So we're just going to get it kind of fit up in here where we think it's going to go. About like that. And then being very careful not to mess up the external equalizer. We're gonna kind of bend it, get it where we want it. Something like that. And then our liquid line will come straight in here. Cool. I like it a lot. Just kind of mocking things up, getting an idea where I want it to be. Okay. Okay. Okay, and then we'll cut this equalizer line. Okay, we've got it kind of mocked up about where it's going to be. Ready to get some nitrogen hooked up and we can braze. A little Milwaukee M12 fuel driver, still doing really good. I'm really impressed with this little guy. It has a lot of power. Nice clean bit. Don't get me wrong, you could do it a lot faster with an 18 volt, but when you don't want to carry an 18 volt around, the Milwaukee 12 volt works just fine. Next thing, we're going to make sure everything is properly sanded. I like when you know, I don't always use this stuff, but when I can, this is the Viper wet rag. Dig that stuff. So we're purging nitrogen through there. Watch out for your capillary. Always want to be careful when you're brazing and there's a capillary nearby. Don't want to melt it. Okay, so we've got a Ketatherm temperature controller with defrost built in. And then we're kind of all prepped. We just got to bring power once we get it installed through one of these knockouts. Same thing right here. We'll connect suction line, liquid line, pull the sensing bulb through once we're good. So this little guy's prepped. It's just a little guy, but I like to prep these ahead of time so I don't have to waste the time on the job. Alright, so we are piping the new condensing unit in, just like I've done on some other ones I've made videos about. I put a bigger receiver on the system, so we're going to repipe. I cut out the old receiver, which is this tiny little thing, and making a spot for my liquid dryer to go. So we're getting along. I'll show you guys the coil here in a minute. So slow progress. We've got the new receiver installed. We brazed the fitting right there, flared it right here. This receiver's a flare, so we went flare down to the dryer, and then we're going to go flare out of the dryer. Here's my suction line. I moved it because it was in a different spot, so I moved it. It already looked like crap like this, so we'll just dealt with it because this is coming down at a weird angle. Kind of gets my OCD because I like straight lines, but oh well. So I didn't change any of this. This was already here. I just cut their thing off, this valve, which was on the back side over there. So we'll move the valve over here. We'll secure it down. That's 5/8. We'll run the 3/8 and the 5/8 together. We're not going to put them on top of the condenser shroud. We're going to go high, so that way we can take the condenser shroud off later. On some of these, you see like that one, I put it on top, but you don't have to take that shroud off. To get this motor out of this shroud, you got to take the whole shroud off. So that's why we don't want to lay anything on top of that style of shroud. So yeah, we're going to stay high. And we're redoing the line set, but because the penetration's in a really crappy spot and they have this rubber roof, we're not going to put a new penetration. We're going to use the existing like 2 feet of line set as it goes down, and that's it. And then we've got all new downstairs, and the rest of it up here is new. So we're just reusing essentially 1-2 welds, just because I don't want to have to. I was part of them redoing this roof because I had to come over here and lift up this whole refrigeration rack and that unit right there. And this roof is like I think it's 8 inches of insulation. Like they raised everything really high, so it was a trip. But anyways, so I'm rambling at this point. So we're getting there. I'll show you guys again. I'll show you guys some stuff downstairs in a little while. All right, so we pretty much got the condensing unit wrapped up. We're gonna, you know, zip tie some lines and clean it up a little bit. That's it. We've got to vacuum down, obviously, but we've just got it all set up and ready to go. We have a dual pressure control tucked back in this corner over here. There was no good place to put that. Actually, there was no good place to put that. So I put it back there, but I made sure I left a whip on it. So that way, if someone needs to jack with it, they can lift it out and work on it and then put it back. And we tried to secure these to make sure they're not rubbing anywhere. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're all brazed in. You know, everything's good on the dryer. I made sure the sight glass was in an accessible location. That way you can see it. We need to, I noticed that this bracket's broken right here. I'll have to come up with another one of those brackets for that. But yeah, that's it. Nice big receiver, plenty of room in it. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So we're gonna go downstairs and work on the bottom section. So we're still working on it. The new coil is significantly smaller because they had oversized it by a crap ton. Plus this one's more efficient. So I've got it on a vacuum, and then we've obviously got to clean up electrical conduits, do the drain line, you know, put the sensing bulb on. So we're getting there. P-trap coming through over there, nice and good. We'll seal up all the holes and everything. So slowly but surely. Let's finish with the pressure test. Looking good. So we are vacuuming down right now. We're at about 500 microns. We're aiming for about 200 microns. So it's a refrigeration system. So we're going to try to go 200 and then a decay that doesn't go above 500. But everything's going good so far. Using Appion hoses. They're a little tight in some places, but they're doing good so far. All right, so we're all operating. Everything's looking good. Unit's running, clear sight glass, pressures look good. Box is at about 42 degrees. It's gonna take some time because we had that box up to like 60 degrees today. So, but yeah, everything's looking good, everything's supported. So everything's running, it's just bringing it down to temp. It's gonna be a little while. It's running its little heart away. We're gonna come back and pull the blue tape off because that's just holding foam back. Okay guys, so you guys saw everything that happened inside there. I broke this up into 2 videos, that way you know, it wouldn't be as long. So you guys saw the diagnosis and then you saw the installation. I tried to show you as much as possible, but it's hard when I'm working with all my employees because I really don't like to show them on camera. So so I showed you guys as much as I could, but everything went good. There was really nothing too difficult. You know, whenever possible, I try to field prep. I mean, you know, prep these before I get out in the field, the coils. It just saves you, you know, 3 hours of 2 hours, whatever it is, of time out in the field. Everything takes longer when you're out in the field. So if you can do it in an office setting at my shop like I was doing, it's so much easier because my van's right there. I could leave the door open. I can come and go from it. So anyways, just whenever I can, I like to prep them at the shop, you know, and try to save some time later. The condensing unit, you know, nothing special. You know, I've told you guys before, I really like to use flare dryers up on the roof. Okay, I'm not a fan of flares in general, anywhere besides on the roof. I don't mind them on the roof, but I don't use them down at expansion valves and evaporator coils because they just tend to leak because of expansion and contraction. And in a colder environment, I tend to see more leaks popping up on a flare. So I like to use them up on the liquid line. So that way, you know, if we ever have to do a repair down in the evaporator, I don't have to take my torches necessarily up on the roof, right? Because if it's a flare, I could pump the system down, you know, basically change the dryer, tighten it back up, and then just take my vacuum pump up and do that. So, you know, that's how I like to roll on those. And then I also, this one was out in the Palm Springs area, so I went with an oversized receiver to make sure that we had enough room inside there for the hot summer days when the pressure builds up really high. So that way we have plenty of room. That is technically an indoor condensing unit. So that's why we have it, you know, mounted outdoors, and they put smaller receivers on them because of that. But okay, guys, really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch these videos. Leave me some feedback down in the comments. I'd really appreciate it, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you think I could improve, all that good stuff. Okay. Until then, I will see you on the next one. Okay.